Hey guys, welcome back to RoniB TV. It's your girl RoniB, and I'm bringing another Cook With Me video today. I prepared pot roast rice, salmon, mashed potatoes, broccoli, and for some reason this day my husband was just like, babe, I have a taste for some collard greens. Can you make collard greens? So we're going to throw those collard greens right on up in this video today as well. So let's get right into how I prepared them. We're going to start out with turkey tails. Turkey tails to me give the best flavor and just the right amount of oil so that your greens are nice and tender and not dry. I'm just filling my pot after I wash my turkey tails, just enough water to boil them. And I'm going to use medium-high heat so that we bring these up to a boil rather quickly. I also like to season my turkey tails. So we're going to use some red pepper flakes because we do like our collards to have a little kick of spice. And I'm going to use some garlic powder, onion powder, and nature seasoning. Let me tell y'all about the nature seasoning. When I use nature seasoning, it has like literally the perfect blend of spices and pepper and salt. It's really good. If you haven't tried it, I want you to try it today and let me know down in the comments how you like it. Now we're moving into seasoning our pot roast. You can see that I have that Chicago State seasoning. That is the secret ingredient. That stuff is so flavorful. Again, you're not going to need to add any salt. So I'm also using black pepper, onion powder, garlic powder, thyme, and paprika. Here you see the olive oil. Now what you want to do with this olive oil is you want to drizzle it all over your cut of meat because that is going to help your seasonings stick to the meat. That dry rub that we just made, it's going to stick nicely to the meat. So when you sear it, everything is going to be nice and seared and the flavors are going to be locked in. It's going to be a good time, I promise you. So now you see me just mixing up my seasoning blend, and we're going to generously season both sides of your chuck roast. My chuck roast was, I think, about a little under 2.5 pounds. So I don't know, measurements. I just, put it in, but that's why I put it in a bowl so you guys can kind of see exactly how much I used. And trust me, it was the perfect amount. So now that I have both sides well seasoned, I'm going to move over to rinsing off my carrots. These are just bagged carrots and bagged carrots. Now, this is my onion I'm using. Now, the thing with the onion is you want to quarter it and then you want to eighth it because how you're going to place the onions in your pot is important. I moved over to washing my potatoes, and these are just the fingerling potatoes, red and yellow, and I'm going to cut those so that they're all about equal size. Now you see that my turkey tails, they're doing just fine over there. We moved on to these greens. Now listen, I done told y'all already that your girl, we're not doing the fresh greens because why? When you can get them out the bag and they're equally as delicious and you don't have to go through all of that picking and, washing 3 and 4 times and cutting them up. I do wash my greens. I do go through them to make sure that there are no bad pieces. But anyway, we're just going to throw those over into the pot after they've been nicely washed. You're going to add some water. Now listen, don't come for me in my comments because I don't put a whole lot of water in my greens to cook them. Yeah, that's some sugar because sometimes the bad greens are a little bit bitter. And I am throwing some more red pepper flakes in here. Now, again, let's get to this water. You don't need to drown your greens in water. I promise you, your greens are going to cook down and they're going to make their own liquid. So I don't know about you. I just don't need all the extra. I have just enough, what the old people call it, pot liquor, so that if I have some bread, I can sop it on up with my bread and have a good time eating. I don't need them just swimming in water. Here, I'm just giving y'all a shot behind the scenes because I know some of y'all probably wonder, like, what RoniB really be doing in that kitchen? Listen, this is how I cook constantly. I am a very, very clean cook. I keep me some dishwater. Oh, yeah, we had to go back over and look at those greens. Look at them greens. They already cooking down nice and good. But anyway, I just gave y'all a sneak peek at the kitchen so you can see behind the scenes. Now, we are going to move into searing our chuck roast. So here I am just putting a little bit of olive oil in my Dutch oven pot, and we're going to sear this meat on both sides. You want to make sure that you are locking in that flavor and getting a nice crust on your meat so that it does what it's supposed to do. You also want to make sure that your meat is flush to the bottom of your pot. You don't want any air or anything because you want the contact and the pot and the heat to do what it's supposed to do, which is give it a beautiful color. So I did do both sides, and now I am working with these nice brown bits that were left over from us searing the meat. I threw in my celery, my carrots, and a few of the onions, and I'm just going to add a little bit of beef broth to deglaze and, get those brown bits off the bottom of the pot because that's flavor, honey. I don't know who is not using their brown bits, but if you're not, you need to. Now I'm just adding some garlic, minced garlic to the pot, as well as this Better Than Bouillon beef base. Baby, if you haven't tried it, you have to. Now you can see that I put my quartered or eighth onions down in the bottom of the pot because they're going to act as like a little base. We're going to sit our nice, beautifully seared piece of meat on top of the onions because we're going to use a method to cook this pot roast called braising. And braising is not boiling, it's not baking, it's braising. You're basically going to give your pot some liquid, but you don't want to cover your meat. You just want the liquid to go up, just so it's not covered, okay? So what happens is when we put the lid on and we stick it in the oven, that steam is going to cook the meat and make it so tender. The steam from the liquid, it's a good time, I promise you. So I did flip over my chuck roast piece of meat because it was just prettier on one side than the other. And now you see me adding some Worcestershire sauce to the pot. And now I'm going to cover it up and pop it in the oven. And we are actually going to put this in the oven on 325. And I started out with 2 hours because typically it takes about an hour per pound. And I think my pot roast was a little under 2.5 pounds. So I started out with 2 hours because we are going to add our veggies later on. Here we are checking on our greens again, and they are doing just fine. Now y'all see how much liquid is in there. It's doing real good. It's still doing good. I did slice up the lemon. And I'm just using Magic Salmon Seasoning, Love That Stuff, and Slap Your Mama. That's the only 2 seasonings I use on my salmon. So you're going to season it generously, and then you're going to, oh, sorry, y'all. I was letting y'all know I was jamming to Emotions by Mariah Carey, my girl. Anyway, here's my salmon all seasoned up. And now I just took half of a lemon, and I'm squeezing the lemon juice over the salmon. This is very important, guys. The acid in the lemon juice is what wakes up the flavors from the seasoning. Do not skip this step. Then you're going to want to put your sliced lemons or your lemon slices on, each fillet. You don't have to overdo it. Just one per fillet is good. It's also going to give a nice presentation to your salmon once it's done. Now I'm going to pop this salmon into the oven on 400 degrees for about 20 minutes. You don't need more than 20 minutes, guys. You will overcook your salmon. You know your salmon is done when the juices start to become like the little frothy white color. You'll see them like trickling out the sides of the salmon, or sometimes it happens on top of the salmon if you don't have it sliced in fillets. Your salmon is still going to be cooking once you take it out. So if you overcook it, that's when you run into dry salmon. Nobody don't want no dry salmon, I'm telling you. Now I panned around because I know y'all wondering what be going on in RoniB kitchen. Listen, this is how your girl does. My kitchen is clean. There's no reason at this point when you're just waiting for your food to be done. There's no reason for your kitchen to be a mess still. Girl, go on ahead and get them dishes washed up so that when your food is done, all you're really doing is plating it. I was just showing y'all my pliers, and I know y'all also be wondering in these videos why RoniB don't have no knobs on her stove. Girl, listen, I've replaced knobs 3 times in my house. I have 5 children that for some reason couldn't figure out the right direction to turn to light the stove, and they would just break my knobs. So yeah, that's why I don't have knobs. Yes, I did put on some rice. Don't come for me with my homemade lid made out of a plate. Y'all, that pot set is literally like 20 years old. I got that pot set before my son was born. That's the finished product on my salmon. I did pull my pot roast out of the oven to add the rest of my veggies, and I just repositioned the pot roast so that it's, again, sitting up and not totally submersed in the water. Now, your veggies are going to cook down, and here you see me just repositioning them so that, again, my pot roast, my piece of meat is not totally submerged. We still want to give it that braising effect where it's not boiling. I did pop it back in the oven for about 45 minutes, and then I moved on to making my broccoli. Yes, this is a steam-in bag from Sam's. It takes about 5 minutes to cook. Just keep in mind that your broccoli is not seasoned. So once it's done cooking, you will need to season it. And yeah, I mean, it's really simple. It's not mushy. It's perfectly cooked in 5 minutes. I do like, again, I tell y'all all the time, I don't like no mushy vegetables. So I do like for my veggies to have a bit of firmness to them. So there's the finished product, the salmon, the mashed potatoes, and the broccoli. I will do another video on how I make mashed potatoes because those are not instant, but they're not homemade either. I promise you. The secret that I show you on these mashed potatoes is going to save your life and save you so much time. It's going to make your life so much easier. If you have finicky eaters like I do in my family that think that instant mashed potatoes are disgusting. Anyway, I pulled my pot roast out of the oven. I did plate it into a casserole dish. And now I'm just going to take the veggies out and work with the remaining liquid to make some gravy. Oh, here I'm showing you just how tender the pot roast is. It should be fork tender. That's the texture that I like on my pot roast. It's so delicious. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to make this gravy and pour it over it. Oh my gosh, y'all. Listen, I made this video a couple of months ago, but I'm telling you, my mouth is watering just looking at it right now. All right, so I took some flour in water and I made a slurry, and now we're going to work with this gravy. Now, you want to make sure that after you put in your flour and water slurry, that you're working it so your flour doesn't become lumpy, as I did pour the flour into hot liquid. We don't want to make dumplings, okay? We don't want to make dumplings. We just want the flour to thicken up your gravy, okay? So here I am just waiting for my pot to come up to a little boil. They say a watched pot never boils, but baby, this pot was boiling. You hear me? It's going to be a rolling or roaring boil in just another couple of minutes. We did this for about 5 minutes because you want to boil out the flour taste. So I don't know if you ever had gravy that just kind of tasted a little weird. It's probably because whatever the thickening agent that they use, especially if it was flour, they didn't let it boil long enough so that flour taste dissipates. Now, wait for it. I am about to pour this gravy on top of this pot roast and veggies. Ooh, look at the consistency. It is perfect. There was so much flavor in this gravy. It was ridiculous. Like, I didn't have to add any seasoning to my gravy after I made the flour mixture. It was perfectly seasoned. So good, so delicious. Look at that. I know y'all mouth watering. Let your girl know in the comments. So, I have to just, sprinkle that parsley on everything because parsley is just so beautiful. It makes everything look great. Next, I plated it up, and there you have it. Pot roast with Ronnie. There's my white rice. I did a little mold on the rice for presentation purposes. I think I'm doing okay. I'm not professionally trained, but your girl, she know her way around the kitchen and in them pots. After this, I guess we just ate. Yeah, it was done. It's over. My kitchen was clean. Everybody, there's only 3 of us in the house now. So my husband, my baby daughter, and myself. So this pot roast lasted us for a couple of days. I've been in this kitchen now, I think probably for almost 4 hours. So your girl was tired. The pot roast is in the casserole, and then you see that I did meal prep the salmon dishes and my greens are there. But yeah, that's it, guys. I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will keep these videos coming. Ta-ta for now.
Me, I know what you need.